Hello and welcome to your day 3 camp in a box. Today we'll be doing the nameplate along with a little portrait of yourself or whoever you want. Now I'm just going to start out by getting all of the clay from the bag, and they will be giving you a lot. You'll have a circle that will be used for your face, so you have to make one yourself, and then you'll have a slab or two for the nameplate. We might have cut it down a little bit because after I did the video, we knew that it was a lot. But if you did get this amount, then you can do more than one nameplate, maybe 3. Any size you want, whether it's for a desk, whether it's for a wall. Let your creativity run wild. It will all be looking amazing no matter what. Because you can see how large this nameplate is, and it's really thick anyways, so you'll be able to get a few of them out of it. Now for the time being, you don't want to leave all your clay out because it'll dry when you're working on something else, so I'm going to be putting the face away until the end of the project when I finished the nameplate itself. Just, you don't want it to dry out or else that'll be pretty bad. And then I put the extra piece aside. I don't know if you guys will have that or if we just took that away, but as I'm showing you here, it is really thick, so I'm going to be taking the dowel rod and just running it over a few times, making it a little bit thinner, making sure that it's even as well. And as you can see here, I'm actually going to be cutting it in half because this is very large and it is so thick. So I decided to make just one, so you can make more than one of course, but I cut it in half and then I'm continuing to roll it out because it's still really thick, and then that's going to be my nameplate. Alright, and then once you've got it to your desired thickness, I'm going to just be taking the end of the stick and then just freehanding, doing some lines, cutting off the extra pieces. Oh, you can see that wasn't very straight. Just to keep it neat. Alright, and then you can set it to any way that you want. And then now you can start using the designed details that we gave you. So the fish or the animal will actually be for your next project. If you want to use it on this, then you can. But I'm going to be using the border stamps for this and then some freehand writing. But for now, I'm going to smooth it over just like we did with the owl. So make sure to take your card and your sponge with a cup of water, smooth it over, get all of your fingerprints and all of the edges off of it, the little crumbs and everything. Get the edges, make them nice and clean, because after they're fired, if you don't get any pieces off, it can be very sharp and it can actually cut you. So that is why we do this, and then I take the card to get the water off and give it a nice smooth finish. And then now I'm going to be taking the border stamp, and then in any way that you want to, I'm just going to be bordering around for my nameplate. And then because I got some fingerprints on it by accident, I'm going to go back over with my card to smooth it over again. I just don't go over the border because I don't want to get rid of that. And then you scrape off any extra clay. I ended up using it to make a nice clean cut. You don't have to do that, that was just because I noticed something. And then I'm just going to be adding an actual border. Just making some lines around what I used the stamp for. It gives it more of a clean finish. And then now I'm going to be kind of getting an idea of how I want to place my portrait. How big it is, how far down that you want to add any letterings or anything like that. So I'm just going to be putting my name in this, but before I do that, I'll be using the pointer of the stick to create some holes through it, make sure that they're big enough and that you wipe off the crusties on the other side. And that is how you'll be able to hang it. You can use wire, twine, anything you want after the firing. Just put it through the holes and just hang it from the wall. So as you can see with my fingers, I was giving an example of where the face would be and then where I'm going to put my name. You can do it however you would like. I mean, you don't have to follow this exactly. I find that it is a lot easier to do block letters when it comes to clay, because it doesn't give you as many of those crusties when you're carving, which, like I said, can be very, very sharp after fired. So I'm just going to use box letters and just put my nickname on there. Alright, and there's my name. We're already almost done. And then, as you can see, I have a really nice sized nameplate, and you still have a lot of extra clay. I mean, this can probably get you 3 more nameplates out of it. I mean, it's actually kind of cool how much that I got in the bag, but this was the first box that we made, so maybe we'll lower it a little bit for you guys. But this is just me showing you again that you can do some other stuff with your extra clay. I do suggest putting any clay back in the bag that you won't be using, but for now, since I'm making the face and I won't be worrying about the nameplate, you want to put the nameplate in a bag so that it does not dry out before you finish making your face. If it is dry and your face is wet, they will not mend together and it will fall off. So that is why I have not put my extra pieces back in the bag. And I didn't want to put them in with my nameplate because I didn't want it to ruin the designs that I had on there. So they're just gonna sit out for a second. So you're gonna grab your small circle that's gonna be for your face. And you can see kind of the layout of how it would look on the printout that you have and how some of the lines will make the different features of your face, like the eyes, the nose area, the lips area. So I'll just be kind of fixing it up because it probably got banged around a little bit. And then you want to make sure that at least one edge of your, well, at least the bottom of your portrait is completely flat, so it sits all the way on the nameplate. You don't want it to be all the way around like an actual head. And you can see I'm just smoothing it over, cleaning it up, getting any cracks and anything off of it, kind of refolding it to like this oval shaped with a flat bottom. Keep in mind that your chin is going to be a lot thicker than your like your head, your forehead, and all that. So you can see at the bottom I'm pinching it more. See how it's thicker at the top? And then the bottom chin area is more pointy. You might have a different face shape than I do, but this is what I'm doing for mine. If you have more of a round head, then you wouldn't do this so much. Although afterwards, my face doesn't actually look like me, because it can be really hard for somebody who's never done it before. But it's nice to know just the layout of how a face works. So now we're going to be starting on the structure of the face. So you're going to take your smallest stick and find the center, and you're just going to indent it. Don't do it too deep. I mean, we're going to be getting rid of this. But you want to find the center of your face. In the video, it doesn't really look like the center, but... And then you're going to find the exact middle. And then again, you're going to be putting 2 lines evenly spaced apart for your nose and your mouth. So what I did is I actually found the center between my eyes and my chin, and then from that center I then found the middle part in between those, so that it gave you 2 lines, then 3. I hope that made sense. It's kind of hard to explain. So now what I'm going to be doing is the indentation of the eyes. So I'm just taking the edge of the stick and simply pressing down. Because the eyes are inside of the skull, they aren't just sitting on top. And then I'll be using the angled piece of the larger stick, and then kind of making so that the edges aren't so harsh. This is kind of how you want to do it. Don't follow me exactly, because when it comes to the actual structure of the face and making it on clay, it's really hard to explain how to get your edges a little cleaner, and it's just kind of a learning process for everybody. So just use any stick that you have and try to create the indentation of the eyes. And now you're going to be getting a small piece of clay. You're going to get 2 of them, and you're going to roll them up and then put them inside of the eye sockets. I think at first I made them too big and I had to make them smaller. Yeah, that's too big. You want them to fit inside of the eye socket, not sit on top. So you can see that I took off way too much and I had to make them smaller. Still, that was too big, so I got rid of that piece and split in half the other one that I had. And then you see how those actually fit inside of the socket?
But like 5 different shapes.
Oops.
Yeah.
I think a car just pulled
Don't
in
mind
right when I
George
got here.
And then you're going to lightly press them in the center of the socket. And now I'm going to be making eyelids. The way how these are made is getting a really small piece of clay and making it flat, and then you're going to lay it a little bit over the eyes, and you're going to smooth it out in any area that isn't directly over the eyeball. It's hard to explain. It can be a little weird because if they're too thick then they don't actually look like your eyelids. But you see how I'm just smoothing over in the opposite direction of the eyeball? You don't want to do it directly over it, of course, because it's going to look like that they're sitting on top of the eyeball. And then I'm taking the pointy end of the stick and I'll just be making indentations for the inside of the eye. And then I'll be adding the bottom lid. Make sure not to do your bottom lid too much. So you can see how it kind of covers the eyeball. So now we're going to be making the eyebrows. It's going to go right above the eye. So you're going to grab a small piece of clay, you're going to roll it out. And then you're going to make it curved, because no eyebrows are just straight across your face. And then you're just going to put that on there, and then I smooth the back part of the eyebrow and around it, but you still want it to be like prominent from the face and sticking out. So now we will be making the nose. So take another piece of clay and you're going to roll it into a small coil. Make sure it's not too big. And you're going to put it from the eyes down to where you had that line that you made, so that it doesn't go too far down. And then you're going to press it on, and I'm smoothing over up by the eyebrows into the forehead. And then I'm going to kind of flatten the bottom of the nose, and then use like the pointy piece of the stick to create two nostrils. We're now going to be making the lips, and this just involves two small pieces of clay. Make them into coils again. They are not going to be as thick as the nose. They are going to be much thinner. And you're going to put the two coils on each side of the line. So the line that I just remade, because I accidentally kind of got rid of it, is going to be the middle of your mouth. So you can see I'm putting the bottom lip right underneath that made line, add a little curve, and I'm going to take another coil and put it above it to create the top lip. I'm going to smooth down the edges a little bit, not too much. I'm going to refine some of the lines, smooth down the bottom lip. And then I'm going to kind of create that little crease that's right above your top lip. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Mine is pretty prominent. Yours might not be. But it is what makes the middle pointy part on the top part of your lip. Now, as you can see, mine does not look like me by any means. This is just kind of figuring out how to make a face. It is just the beginning steps of it. If any of us were more skilled, maybe it would actually look like us. Yours might. I obviously can't see yours. Mine does not, which is completely fine. It's better than nothing. And then after you've put your eyes, your nose, eyebrows, eyelids, mouth, everything, then you can start making your hair. Now don't follow mine because I have short, very curly hair. But I didn't really know how to make that in clay without pieces falling off. So I just got a whole bunch of different like clumps of clay, rolled them out, and then just kind of like folded them over on the outside of my head, and I just kind of went with it. So it doesn't look like me at all. It's just a random person, but that's okay. So the next part is extremely important. So to kind of see what I'm doing, I faced my project towards you guys. Now I put my face on the plate. I'm only seeing to where it needs to be. I'm not actually flipping and scoring yet, but I will be taking either the edge of my card or that pointy stick, whichever one is fine with you. Maybe you have a score tool at home if you worked with clay before. And then you're going to need your water with your sponge to actually mend it together. And what I'm going to do is take the end of my card and I'm going to score the bottom of my head. Now you're going to not just go in one direction. I'm going in multiple different directions. You want it to be kind of falling apart in a sense so that it'll form to your actual slab. And then you see once I'm done with that, I'm not putting it on the plate yet. I'm just getting an outline so I know where to put it. Because you're going to have to score your plate as well, but you don't want to go scoring it all over the place and then having some areas that are visible and all hatched up after you put the face on. So this kind of gives you like a outline of where to put some more of the scoring. And then I'll just be using the edge of my card again. Now that you have both of them scored, you're going to be, see, I'm using my fingers to show you how they kind of stick together. And water will definitely help. So you're going to take some water from your sponge. You're not just going to dump it on there. You're just going to do like some drops and like they'll fill in the cracks so you can see. Because you want them to be wet. And then the scoring, and then this isn't slip, it's just water. Slip is actually extremely watered down clay, so it's kind of like a lotion consistency clay. We're just going to be using water because we can't just give you slip. It might dry on you. So you're going to get them both wet, and then you're going to put it on top of each other, and you're going to kind of twist, press down, make sure there's no air bubbles. This is one of the most dangerous parts because your face is what can fall off. But be careful not to press down any of your details. I'm trying to be really gentle with it, but it is difficult. So just keep that in mind. And then I'm actually going to be rolling out a piece of coil here in a second, after I smooth the underneath of the face so that I'm getting some of the hatch marks out of there. It's good to do this right when you put it on so that it's still really wet clay. This is just cleaning it up. And now that I've cleaned it up, I'm going to be making a small coil, and I'm going to be putting it around the edge, and this will give kind of more stability for it to stay on the plate. It's kind of self-explanatory after I just finish rolling it out so that it's not too large, but it's, you know, thick enough to where it actually does something. I'm just going to be putting around the underneath of the face and all of that. Make sure that when you roll out your clay, use your fingers, like the middle of your fingers and the tips of your fingers more so than your palm. This kind of creates it so that the entire coil is all one thickness and that you don't have a bunch of thick and thin areas, because it's kind of hard to know how much you're applying with your palms, like force-wise, in strength. So just be aware of that. Day 4, Camp in a Box, I'll be teaching you how to roll coils of clay, but it has to be used for this part because, as you can see, it creates some more stability for it to be sticking to the plate. Alright, and then once you clean all that up, make it nice and neat, I would put it in the bag to dry with it kind of open with some air in there. You don't want to leave it out completely or else your corners will curl up like I just showed you. But yeah, thanks for watching.